Mikel Arteta is an ambitious man, and we need ambition. In the non-broadcasted part of the press conference for Arsenal's game against Brighton in April, he said this when asked about Champions League versus Europa League qualification. "I don't think it makes a lot of difference. If you can afford it, and we don't have to do the turnaround of the squad that we've had to do, if you ask me what I want, it's 22 outfield players and 3 goalkeepers. At roughly 2 players per outfield position, and considering I make it only 12 players who are certain to stay on from last season's squad, that is a significant amount of work to do. However, when you're spring cleaning your house, you sometimes have to be ruthless to get space for the quality that you need. And this summer we have to be just that, to match Arteta's ambition and raise the technical floor of this team. Let's get to it. This will be in 2 parts, and I'll release the midfielders and forwards part next week. I won't do loan players or we'll be here till Christmas. I appreciate categorising players like this is a little bit slapstick, but I actually think it helps a great deal in terms of clarity and may clarify what you need to do in the market. My assessment will include things I like about the player, things I think could be worked on from a coaching or technical perspective, as well as hopefully a more holistic and rounded perspective too. Finally, I'll put them in a category. Keep, sell, or loan. It's the title of the video. So, Aaron Ramsdale. On a podcast in April last year, I said this. Also, only Arsenal could make Aaron Ramsdale look like Edison in that first half. God's sake. That's why those behind the scenes at the club are the professionals, and I'm sat here talking to you. It was exactly the qualities that I mocked, that Arteta and the recruitment team noticed, and thought could add a new dynamic to our team. They also noticed how Ramsdale responded brilliantly to mistakes on their video analysis, and background checks talked of a great teammate, an ongoing theme of the recruitment policy. You can see this maturity and his growth mindset in every interview he does. His personality and positivity is infectious. Ramsdale's form had a worrying dip at the end of last season, and his post-shot XG performance went down to relegation level. I'd like to see him bypass the first phase a bit more, like he did earlier on in the season, specifically with balls into Ødegaard in the midfield, who has the technical level to receive them. I think teams slightly worked out what he was doing, and as his form dipped, he had to sort of go back to basics. Overall though, a really solid debut season. Much better than I expected, and he came 3rd in our Player of the Season vote. He really does have cult hero potential. It's a definite keep. Bernd Leno. In a way, I feel sorry for Bernd Leno. He probably grew up just that little bit too late to place so much focus on his technical footwork and distribution in his youth, and the game is unfortunately trending away from him. In my opinion, he's one of the top 5 or 10 goalkeepers in the world in terms of pure shot stopping. The save from Lukaku in the Chelsea game at the Emirates is breathtaking. He's been excellent for us at times, and Unai Emery's life expectancy at Arsenal was certainly prolonged by Bernd. He won't want to stay, and with Matt Turner coming in, he'll surely move on, and I suspect he'll go abroad unless the Fulham talks go anywhere. So, sell. If he does stay, is he the best third choice goalkeeper ever? Arthur Okonkwo. The word is that Okonkwo might be off on loan. I can't assess a player who I've never seen play a minute of professional football, and I suspect Karl Hein, who has already played minutes for Estonia at senior men's international level, will make the step up. Okonkwo is massive in terms of height at 6'5", imposing, but it's not always an advantage in terms of agility. Ramsdale's probably slightly skewed our view of what level a goalkeeper should be at what stage of their career. And considering goalkeeping years are like the opposite of dog years, we'll just have to wait and see how he develops, as I know he's highly rated at the club, but he's only 20. Hopefully he can go somewhere in the Football League. Kevin Betsy, who was until recently Arsenal's under-23s coach, has recently been appointed at Crawley Town, so there may be an opportunity there. Loan. Cedric Soares. If you've seen any of my videos before, you might know my distaste for Cedric Soares. I don't dislike him on a personal level, and I'm open to changing my mind. I just think he's a mid-table Premier League player, and we need to move on. Sometimes a player just makes you feel something. When you saw Cedric on the team sheet from the North London derby next to Rob Holding, don't tell me you felt anything other than blind panic. I was in the stadium for the Wimbledon game in the League Cup earlier on this season. I sat right in the corner and I got a great look at him. He's short and not majorly stocky, and his technical level drags us down. He must have miscontrolled half a dozen balls in that first half. If Arteta wants his fullback to be his right-sided centre-back at times, someone who can tuck into midfield, you can do better than Cedric, and Saliba and Ben White would play ahead of him. If you want a different option who can get forward and be more dynamic, you can do better than Cedric too. If he stays, I do want to see a significant improvement in his defensive positioning. He is so often panicked and dragged out by a high-quality left winger, then quickly 1-2'd around. He's not blessed with many fast-twitch muscle fibres to spring in different directions, so he loves a straight line, and he doesn't have the quality to make up for his lack of athleticism. Also, please God, stop swinging in crosses from the half spaces. You're not Trent. In fairness, he's pretty good in tight spaces and combines well with Ødegaard on sunny days at the Emirates. Sell for me. I think he'll stay though. Apparently the coaching staff like him. Takehiro Tomiyasu. If you want extended analysis on Tomiyasu, then please go and watch this video. The bloke is probably the best defender at the club and is massively underrated for his attacking contribution too. He just gives you so many options. Right back, left back, centre back, inverted centre mid, wide fullback. I'm convinced he'd be a good 6 too. Trust me, within a season or so, he'll be viewed in the kind of Walker-Robertson conversations, just below the Trent, Cancelo, Van Dijk category. I think he is really that good. We have a gem on our hands. I don't have many technical thoughts. Possibly, I'd like to see him show a bit more explosiveness, but it's a bit like asking what the 0 to 60 is on a Rolls Royce. The one big thing is his injury record. Get him in the gym over summer, strengthening around those calves, and hopefully with Saliba coming in and possibly another fullback signing, or even Brook Norton-Cuffy, though I do think we need to calm down about him, we might be able to manage his load a bit better. The only moment I saw him get spun this season was against Jota in that Liverpool game where he looked about 60% fit. It's only notable because it so seldom happens. I actually think the club need to push him slightly in the media to cement his profile and get that narrative going that he's tough to face. He seems too humble himself to do that. And I'd actually call on Arteta to trust him more when we get some quality around him. Let him shuffle around mid-game, use him at left back, anything you need. If only we'd moved him to centre back sooner in the North London derby. By the way, if I hear one more person calling him ambidextrous, I'm gonna kick off. Ambidextrous is your hands, ambipedal is your feet. Duh, he says, having made that exact mistake a million times. Keep at all costs. Robert Bobby Holding. Again, full thoughts in this video, but I really like Holding's squad role. There's not many players with his quality and experience who are perfect to slot in the middle of a 5 and see out a game clearing balls or winning duels, and crucially, are professional enough to accept it and not become a problem in the dressing room. We gained a lot of points thanks to Holding this season. Villa away was a particular highlight. By the way, I do think we still need a Holding in a back 5 chant to the tune of Dancing in the Moonlight. Holding in a back 5. We'll never get a dominant, imperious, unflappable centre-back out of Rob Holding, but I do think there's a higher ceiling there for him. In fairness, he's a lot more well-rounded than people think. I think he has a slightly Brexit reputation these days, which I have a long rant about, but that's more about the way he's being used at the moment at Arsenal. As he matures, I'd like to see him reading the game a little bit better and understanding his limitations a bit more. He needs to trust himself and position himself accordingly. He's not as limited, but some Per Mertesacker YouTube compilations might be worth a watch. I'd like to see him scanning and watching his line a bit more, as well as being careful of closing this space down too soon. Space is your friend when you don't have the capacity to match forwards physically. Some video analysis sessions would help, and I'm sure he's doing it. Just another thing, if possible, Rob, could you invent time travel, go back to the North London derby, and stop getting so touch tight to Son? Thanks. Keep, unless a crazy offer comes in. Gabriel Magalhaes. Gabriel's an interesting one for me. I think he actually goes under the radar quite a bit, which in a sense as a defender might be a good thing. For someone in his profile, time is his friend, and I can see him aging very well. He's always available and has cemented that LCB role, neither of which should go without merit. I'd love to see him continue to dominate on set pieces at both ends and cement that reputation, though I think it's coming. And I have a suspicion he could become a little bit Koscielny-esque, being someone who can pick up the sort of scrappy second balls and get a few goals. In fairness, he did finish the season with the most goals for a centre-back in the league. When he played for Lille, I saw a lot more crossfield balls and a lot more penetration through the lines. He may just not be instructed to do that, but he is actually really good at threaded and lofted passes, so I'd like to see some development there. Some consistency on our left-hand side, as well as an increase in quality of personnel, may help him. He does need to stop doing that thing where he just blocks someone off in midfield to stop the counter. He did it at Southampton last season, and it cost us at City this season too. Don't give the refs any reason to send you off. Overall, a really solid season. Keep. Benjamin White. Really like White, really good player. However, I do really hear the arguments that holding on to Saliba and spending £50 million on a centre forward may have helped us more this season. Maybe the club felt White was going to end up somewhere else, and perhaps long term we have the guy, so it was worth it, but say he moves on in 1 to 2 years, then I just don't think it's the best business we could have done. And if he goes on Love Island, it really was stupid. I'd like to see more aggression and tenacity, and I do miss his trademark runs forward at times, but the guy's a great footballer. Quick, great tackling technique, high level of concentration, and of course, he's really special on the ball. He's everything you want from a modern centre-back. Add in some competition, rotation for the tired legs, and more to aim at up front, and I think we'll really see who he is next season after a promising debut campaign, possibly even in a leadership role. One specific thing. I wonder if he can see pictures a bit sooner, which could see him being more decisive in the first phase. I'd like to see him spot 2v1s in the midfield sooner, spot isolation out wide sooner, or other things dependent on game state. Might be that the lack of consistency and quality around him is affecting this, and it's very easy as fans when we have the whole picture on our screen. It's just a thought. Keep, no question. Kieran Tierney. Kill your darlings. Again, a whole video on KT here. I just think it's time to move on, much as I love him. There's two reasons I say that. One is injuries, and the other is flexibility. You could be the most talented footballer on the planet, but if you aren't available to show us you are that, it doesn't matter. He's missed something like a season and a bit of football for us in 3 seasons, and it's normally towards the end of the season which puts us in tight spots at the business end. It gets boring constantly comparing ourselves to them, but look at that Liverpool team. That core group, including Robertson, are pretty much always available, so they win matches. It's pretty sad, and I have a lot of empathy for him on a personal level, and I hope he can stay fit for his sake, but we're not a charity. We can't afford to have another season without a top left back. Even if he does stay fit, I still think he limits us. He's a straight lines player similar to Bellerin and Cedric Suarez. Great defender, but lacks the explosiveness from a standing start you need in those areas, as quick as he is. Arteta loves two-footed fullbacks because they give you options. They can come inside, become your third centre-back, go beyond, go into the midfield. They give you options. Tierney can give you some of that, but he is heavily one-footed. And every single fullback Arteta's signed or we've been significantly linked with are adept with both feet to some degree, or able to provide more tactical flexibility than Tierney. I know fans love Tierney, but I think it is a bit rose-tinted. Ask someone why they want to keep Tierney, and if their answers don't include the phrases passion for the club, fights for the badge, gives it all for the team, send them my way. I'm willing to listen. I love passion as much as the next guy, but passion doesn't stop you limiting a team. Performances this season were fine. If he does stay, I just wanted to stay fit and come inside a bit more and vary his game. A tall forward might help him. Sell. Sorry. Nuno Tavares. The wild card. The final of the group. The Emmanuel Abue regen. I love Tavares. I think he's absolutely hilarious. He plays like he's in a YouTube compilation. Within a 5-minute spell, he can give away a penalty, lash one over from 30 yards, execute a perfect tackle, progress you 50 yards up the pitch, nick a goal, and get himself hooked. It is bedlam. Weirdly, I imagine the likes of Klopp and Guardiola spend a lot of time talking to Arteta about Tavares. What a project he could be, the best way to approach it. He is such an interesting player. He just needs to calm down and focus on the fundamentals. Where's my line? How can I respond to the movements of the players around me? Receive it, give it, don't panic. Arteta is actually a great coach for him in some ways. Watch Ødegaard play. It's all automations and pressing triggers and instructions executed with technical brilliance. Tavares could be optimised to deliver such specific actions too. When my left winger cuts inside, what should my body shape be? Because physically he could be excellent one-on-one. He's incredible, 2 feet, lightning quick, strong, tall. He could be seriously special or end up in Serie B. He's young and we're quick to write players off. Give him time. Loan. Preferably abroad under an experienced and disciplined coach. Stick the training wheels back on. Maybe Italy, apparently Atalanta might be interested, but I'd prefer him to play left back rather than left wing back. Next up, El Neni, Xhaka, Partey, Smith Rowe, Ødegaard, Sambi, Pepe, Saka and Martinelli. Thank you for watching.